This is unimportant, what I'm about to mention, in the grand scheme of the insanity of Trump, but can we just take a second to acknowledge that our president watches way too much television? Like, whenever you're a kid growing up and you start watching too much TV, your parents get upset at you. It's just not good for the mind. And Trump watches so much television to the point where late into the night, he'll be posting his live reactions to what's going on Fox News. And that's what took place here, which is Charlemagne the God, as he goes by, the radio host and figure, was on Lara Trump's show, which was an interesting decision by her, and just ripped to shreds a lot of Trump's agenda, to which Trump posted very angry thoughts about it. Then I'll show you Charlemagne's response to Trump's Truth Social post. But here was a part of the appearance, him with Lara Trump, who has her own show on Fox News because she's a Trump. It is funny, by the way, to just fully lean into how much you are state TV. Like, we're going to hire the daughter-in-law, and then every time in this argument she would talk about the Trump administration, she would say we. She's supposed to talk about the news, she's saying we.
Well, Charlamagne, I'm so honored to have you here. Thanks for coming on My View.
Lara, thank you for having me. You did Breakfast Club. I had to return the favor.
Yeah, we're trying to reciprocate. I appreciate that very much. So look, we're 6 months into President Trump's second term in office. Now, I know you've been critical. You've had your bones to pick with President Trump. If you took his name out of it and looked solely at what has happened, the policies and the things that have changed around the world and in our country over the first 6 months, how do you rate his presidency so far?
I wouldn't give it a good rating.
Why not?
Simply because, the least of us are still being impacted the worst. Like, when you look at something like, the big, beautiful bill, that's something that, I'm going to benefit from because of the tax bracket that I'm in. But, there's going to be so many people that's hurt by that bill. And, anything that, takes away Medicaid from people and is going to put people in a worse financial situation than, they were previously in, I'm not for. And, he ran on that. Like, he ran on, the economy. He ran on saying that, grocery prices were going to be down, and,
That has happened.
No.
Inflation is trending down. And by the way,
That hasn't happened, and it just went up. Yeah.
We want to make sure that people who are not actual recipients or shouldn't be getting Medicaid are off of Medicaid so it can actually benefit more people. There is good stuff in that bill, though. You have the 27...
All right, this she goes on to her argument, but throughout the interview, he was saying stuff like that. Humiliating facts, whatever, for Trump. By the way, she's wrong about Medicaid. It's going to be ripped away from tons of people who deserve it and need it. Every single independent analysis proves that. And number two, there are some good things in the bill. I've heard from a lot of Republicans justifying their votes. But there were some good things. Now imagine that I gave you a glass of a liquid and it was filled with my urine. Okay? Ick. I think I probably have good urine. As far as urine goes, I think I'd have good urine, but it's still urine. And then splashed in there was some pep. Delicious. Good for your gut microbiome. My family business. Drinkpep.com if you want to order it without the urine. And I said, what? There are some good things in this glass, like pep. You would go, yeah, but most of it's urine. Now, some of you in the audience are like, I drink it. Stop. Could you please stop? But most people go, ew. I don't care that there's some great things like drinkpep.com. There's urine in there. That's, I think, analogous to that argument. But there's some good, but it's terrible. It's terrible. So in response to that interview appearance, Trump said, the very wonderful and talented Lara Trump, whose show is a big ratings success, put racist sleazebag Charlemagne the God. It's the God, but he put the God. Important stipulation. Why is he allowed to use the word God when describing himself? Can anyone imagine the uproar there would be if I used that nickname? The difference is Charlemagne doesn't actually think he's God. You do. He's a low IQ individual, has no idea what words are coming out of his mouth, and knows nothing about me or what I have done, like just ending 5 wars. News to me. And then he goes through and explains how he's just done everything perfectly. Just to be utterly on the other side of the spectrum of identity arguments, I almost never point this out, but can we please acknowledge that his likelihood to call someone low IQ does seem to associate with their race. It does. Like, I'm sure he's thrown that at Biden too. And as we discussed in a recent bonus show, Biden is the white. He has all the white credibility. But he really does seem to use this pretty frequently. Okay, and low IQ, and he says he's racist. That's the other part. Letitia James, he's called racist and low IQ. Kamala Harris, Charlamagne, Jasmine Crockett. Whatever. Maybe it's an accident. I don't know. In response, Charlemagne had this to say on his program.
I mean, where is the lie? Trump's big, beautiful bill is going to make the rich richer and the poor poorer, okay? Cuts all the safety net programs, the Medicaid, the food stamps, the housing assistance. Millions of people will lose health care. Groceries will still be through the roof. Rent support will be through the roof. There's no relief for people who are already hurting, okay? I know I'm not supposed to care because this bill helps the rich, all right? The bill has all these corporate loopholes and capital gain breaks that benefit the 1%, but I know how I was raised, okay? On a dirt road in Mounts Corner, South Carolina, dropping the clues bombs from Mounts Corner, all right? So I'm going to always have imposter syndrome when it comes to finances. My mind is always on the have-nots, and this big, beautiful bill hurts the have.
He's exactly right. And it just is always compelling to me that arguments sound so much better whenever you have music under them. Oh, this is not the right thing. That's too... There we go. Charlemagne's right there. That's the thing you should know. Trump's bill is terrible for the have-nots. Thank you. Play a soundbite.
China!
That fits. Trump can't handle the heat. He is... I can't even think of a rhyme for heat. That's why he has to suffer a big defeat. That's so much better. We gotta have a cool... That's like his intros while he's talking about the initial news. There's music under it, and it just sounds better. You just sound more credible. It's like all those TikTok videos, and the person's like, did you know that eating your left toe will make you lose 100 pounds? And you're like, that's not true. But then they put under it, bah, 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 and you're like, oh. And it's like inspirational. And then all of a sudden there's an ocean for some reason. And then there's like flying eagles. And you're like, okay, maybe I'll try eating a toe. I don't know. Now, on the economic reality, by the way, please do click the subscribe button if you appreciate this show as well. But pet first, then subscribe. We have been hearing a lot about the recent 3% GDP figure, and Ali Velshi on MSNBC added some important context to that.
Plus, on Wednesday, the Commerce Department said that gross domestic product, GDP, which is the largest measure of economic activity we have, increased at a 3% annual rate in the second quarter, the second 3 months of this year. Now, lots and lots of journalists jumped on that exciting top-line number, one that seems far more impressive than the first quarter's GDP increase, which was just 0.5%. But if some of those journalists had taken about 45 seconds to look under that shiny hood, they'd have found a far less impressive rebound than it initially seemed. Here's why. That upward swing in GDP growth came from a massive and fully expected decline in imports, after a massive and fully expected increase in imports in the first quarter in anticipation of tariffs. So lots of money left our economy to bring goods in before the first tariff deadlines in April. And when imports sharply dropped, the smaller resulting trade deficit boosted the GDP growth figure. That's not so much evidence of economic prosperity as it is the result of a math equation and how GDP is calculated. Again, something that economics journalists should know.
Yeah, in preparation for tariffs, businesses did one thing, had an artificial effect on the GDP, and then the aftermath of that had a different artificial effect. But still, even with that, the average GDP growth that we've seen since Trump got into office is like 1.2%, which is not impressive. And that's what they're clinging on to. That and unemployment they're clinging on to, even though unemployment ticked up. But two things that were absolutely exactly, well, unemployment is exactly or worse from what Trump inherited. Speaking of Trump watching too much Fox News, Mark Wayne Mullen went on Fox And we got one soundbite of him. And I think we're going to have to put a setting in the soundboard that once you click something too many times, it's gone. And he said, hey, Maria, Trump's watching your show this morning, so be on your best behavior.
Get to the point where we couldn't accept it. And I'm proud of President Trump. I spoke to him this morning, which, by the way, he's watching your show. And he said, I had to walk away. I didn't have a choice. And I said, sir, I'm proud that you did this because we put them on notice and said, we're not going to play games with you anymore. So now you're forcing us to change Senate rules, which honestly, in the long run, is the
too much. He shouldn't be watching Fox this much. Do things, please. Between watching Fox and golfing, I don't know what percentage of his presidency is left, and talking to the press. But I think that's it. Where does he have time for anything else? I don't know. One of the updates I wanted to give you, we talked already about this news. The Guardian reports Trump administration is attempting to unmake virtually all climate U.S. regulations in one fell swoop. I think I've been saying foul swoop my whole life. At an Indiana truck dealer, and then goes on to more, but we discussed this huge change that's going to kneecap any ability for our government to deal with emissions. And Lee Zeldin was on CNN defending this, and the host played for him a little bit of a flip-flop he's experienced.
But back in 2016, here's what you had to say about climate change broadly. Let's watch.
Our climate is changing. We need to do more to be better stewards of the air, the land, our water. The key is to reduce our reliance on fossil fuels, to become more environmentally friendly and pursue alternative energy, clean and green energy.
What's changed for you?
Nothing. The climate has always been changing. We should not be relying on all of these foreign sources of energy. We should be unleashing energy dominance here in this country. We do it better for our environment than so many other countries.
Wait, why, Cole? Are our fossil fuels better than their fossil fuels?
Clean, beautiful coal.
That's why. We got the cleanest coal. It's like good. It's like good when you put it in your body. It's good. It's like disinfectant to get rid of COVID. It's just something's good about it in the U.S. of America.
Do for theirs and for the rest of the world. It's better for our economy, our national security, and our environment. And
yeah, so they're going. This is unbelievable. He's the head of the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, and he's overseeing them just trying to stab to death their own agency and make it to where we can't really do much to address climate change at all, to keep our, as he said in that old clip, our air clean, our water pure. And he has switched on it. He said nothing, but then he just goes, I still believe in energy dominance. No, you were speaking about a transition to renewable energy. And I don't know why, when we have cheaper energies available, if we would properly push forward those industries in the form of renewable energy, they insist. I mean, I kind of do. You have like the big influence of fossil fuel companies, but still, no one ever presses them on. No. I want energy dominance too. I just think that we should invest in and try to be dominant in the energies that are better to produce for us, for the planet, cheaper, etc. It's pretty simple, but they're just full pro-pollution now. Shocking stuff.